Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How Iterable Uses Zapier to Create Customized Workflows. I know that you probably have a lot of things you could be doing with your time, so we really do appreciate you spending it here with us. Also, it's so cool to see everyone joining us from all over the world, so welcome. My name's Katie, and I'm going to be moderating today's event. And before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. So first of all, we will be recording this webinar, so we'll send this in an email afterwards. All attendees are muted. If you do have questions, please put them in a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you put the questions in the chat box, they will probably get lost just due to the people on the call asking questions in there and chatting. So put them in the Q&A box, and we'll have Lori on the line from our support team. Try our best to get to those during the webinar. And if not, we'll have time at the end of the webinar for Lori, and Nate to answer some questions live. There'll also be a survey at the end of the webinar, and we'd love it if you can fill it out and give us any feedback you might have so that we can improve our future events. Okay, so let's get started. I'd like to introduce our speakers today. First, we have Chow. Is a senior customer success manager on our customer success team here at Zapier. She focuses on making sure that our customers reach successful outcomes. And previously, she helped companies develop and deliver product education for their customers, which is pretty cool. We also have Nate Meir joining us. Nate's joining us from Iterable. And while he currently works in tech, he has a varied background from the military all the way to marketing. His primary focus at Iterable as client platform engineer is endpoint management and designing a better user experience for his Iterable colleagues. So welcome, Nate. All right, so for those of you unfamiliar with Zapier or Iterable, I just want to give you a quick overview of both so that you are familiar. So what is Zapier? Zapier is a tool that allows you to connect your favorite web apps to each other and move information between them automatically. This allows you to forget busy work and focus on what really matters. You can actually connect apps like MailChimp, Gmail, Slack, or Salesforce. And since we work with over 2,000 apps, there's a good chance you'll find one that you use every day in the database. And next we have Iterable. Iterable is the growth marketing platform that maximizes lifetime value by enabling you to create better experiences for and deeper relationships with your customers. They also enable brands to create, execute, and optimize cross-channel campaigns that power world-class customer engagement with unparalleled data flexibility. We're excited to have Nate here from Iterable. All right, so remember, you can ask all the questions you want in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And we'll either answer those at the end of this session, or we'll try to have Lori answer those in real time for you. All right, and with that, I'm going to let and Nate take it away.
Great, thanks, Katie. All right, Nate, let's jump right in. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been at Iterable?
Okay, so I'm a client platform engineer for Iterable. Been working in tech for maybe, gosh, six or 7 years, and I've been with Iterable themselves for over a year now. And say kind of primary duties at Iterable is just managing our fleet from Mac to Windows to Linux, and do a lot of testing, builds, deployments for all of our Iterable endpoints.
Cool. So it sounds like automation would be an important part of your job.
Oh yeah, I mean, I gotta do everything I can to save the most amount of time to be able to produce as much.
That makes a lot of sense. So how long have you used Zapier, and how long has Iterable used Zapier?
So I've used Zapier, I'd say, for 3 years now. I think Iterable's had Zapier for about 2.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And are you the main person that uses Zapier at Iterable?
So yeah, our IT team, we're the primary users of the product. However, our solutions consultant and also our marketers also use it the tool for a few projects that they have.
Yeah, that sounds like some of our more common groups that use Zapier. Definitely a lot of marketing and IT ops and solutions or customer success and support. So that's cool. Let's see. So why don't we talk a little bit more about the workflows that you have used at Iterable. Can you share some of the workflows you've created and what are the use cases?
Okay. Yeah. So we have a good number of workflows that we use. One of the ones that we kind of use primarily and share amongst teams is the ability to allow users within dedicated Slack channels to generate a ticket in our defined ticketing system merely just by adding an emoji to their Slack post. This kind of saves the user time, and it allows us to have that ticket tracked and to be triaged and handled internally by our IT team.
That's very cool. I'm definitely interested to hear more about that in a little bit. But so just generally speaking, how do you determine what types of workflows are needed and what kind of blueprints you need to kind of create before you create a workflow?
So we brainstorm a lot, and we have a lot of ideas, and none of us love to do manual or tedious repetitive tasks. So we think how can we automate this, and how much time is going to be involved in us building the automation for whatever the solution we're wanting. I mean, last thing that we want to do is to sink 100 hours into something that's only going to save us, let's say, 10 hours over the course of a year or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so depending on how much time it's going to take between research and implementation, we often lean towards see how can Zapier help us with this flow? What can Zapier help? Like, how can Zapier help us either cut corners or just make some of this solution easier to implement?
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely a great approach. Just looking for all of those repeatable tasks that a machine can do, right? So you mentioned that you're using Zapier for your internal ticketing system, right? Can you tell us how you decided to set that all up?
Yeah, so traditionally, especially in startups, there's startup culture to where you have an email handle. It's usually like IT or IT request at, and people just bombard that the inbox with their requests. Additionally, we started to migrate, and we moved towards internal ticketing systems. But we're finding that just a lot of our colleagues kind of lean towards like whatever internal communication system that we're using, whether it be Microsoft Teams, Slack, dare I say it, Hangouts. And so we're finding that people spent most of their time in Slack. Oh goodness, yeah, people spent most of their time in Slack. So we just wanted to be able to enable our users just have an easier method to reach out to us. And we know that many ticketing systems have like built-in Slack or communication tool like integrations, but it like involves using slash commands and just shortcuts and hotkeys that people don't remember. But we thought, what if we just added an emoji to wherever post the emoji for our ticketing system, and that will create the ticket for us. Boom. But it went from there, and we just thought, like how can we make this process, how can we make this process better? How can we make this easier for our colleagues, our customers, and kind of easier for us to track everything?
For sure. Yeah, I think that's a really cool use case there. So just to kind of like go over that, like you create like someone posts in the IT request Slack channel, and then they put an emoji on it that gets like sent out to, your ticketing system. And then can you give us a little bit more detail about like the technical side of that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last part? There's a fire alarm test going off in my phone.
Of course. For sure. Yeah, so I was just curious about like kind of like the technical details. Can you give us a little bit more details about like how that works behind the scenes?
Oh, absolutely. So we set up in Zapier. We have the Slack connector first, and Slack connector is looking for a new reaction added to a post within our channel. So for its purpose, we'll discuss is for our hashtag IT channel. So when someone posts in there, anyone can tag that post with the Jira emoji. Once that reaction is added, Zapier is able to capture metadata from that Slack post. We get the Slack username, the time of the message, and just the raw content of the message from itself. From there, we feed the user's email address for whoever did the post. We feed that into a user lookup within our ticketing system, and then we take the metadata. We take the metadata from that and use that to create a Jira ticket. So there we're able to fill out the body. What was the Slack post that was posted, as well as we link a Slack hyperlink to that Slack message, just in case anyone needs to go back to that message in case there was any context posted afterwards. Following those actions, we like to keep these notifications and everything all in Slack. Like I said, people live in Slack. That's how we talk to each other every day. So following the creation of the ticket, the reporter, and if there's a default assignee, they both get a little Slack bot message. Hey, a ticket's been created here at the link of the ticket.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so that's kind of start to finish, and we started that within just our project. It was just in IT. But then other teams started to notice that. They're like, oh wow, that's really cool. We're using Jira, so we have, I don't know, maybe 35 different Jira projects, and they're each of these projects or teams kind of have their own dedicated Slack channels. So we were able to then go and bring this automation to other teams and enable other teams to also have this ability, because as well, like they all needed to have their work tracked and triaged as well. This automation itself kind of grew a few more legs. So the Slack bot auto response was pretty nice. But it didn't like live within the same area of like where the initial post was messaged. So we took it a step further. So upon ticket creation, then what we did, we solicited the use of webhooks. Zapier has a great great webhook functionality, whether you're wanting to capture a webhook or post a webhook externally. So we use that in combination with the AWS Lambda function, and we wrote a little bit of custom Python to handle some of the like Slack actions and features that wasn't already captured by Zapier. And so upon that Lambda function being triggered, we have metadata from the ticket, we have it from the Slack post itself. We're actually able to then go and send a link to the new created ticket directly as a Slack message thread to the initial post. So this all starts with someone saying, "Help, I'm on fire, please IT save me." And we add an emoji, and then literally seconds later, all this is done. The ticket's created, everyone's notified, and there's a link right there for that ticket that was created.
Very cool. I can tell I imagine a lot of our customers would really benefit from that kind of workflow. Generally speaking, how long did it take you to set that up?
So initially it maybe took about 30 minutes to an hour, just kind of playing around with Zapier, seeing what Zapier could do for us, in running through a few test tickets. But now we're able to spin up this solution if another department should want it in less than 10 minutes. I'd be bold enough to say 5.
Very cool. That's awesome to hear. So kind of more about webhooks. You mentioned that you started to kind of grow that project, dare I say, iterate on your workflow a little bit to include webhooks a little bit more. Yeah, so while Nate's just making sure that his building is safe, we can go a little bit over just what he just mentioned there. So Nate was talking about creating these custom workflows at Iterable. And I wanted to share a little bit more about those zaps that he created. So if we can go to the next slide. Great. So they are using custom workflows with webhooks. And if you're not familiar with webhooks, they are automated messages sent from different apps when something happens. And they're instant. And so they're just automated and they just get fired when certain events happen. So one of the main flows that Nate was talking about was using Slack to allow employees to easily create tickets with the use of emojis on messages. So these emojis trigger hook, it creates a ticket within Jira and then notifies those users back in Slack that the ticket was created. And sends them a bunch of updates whenever something is updated in either system. So we have a lot of resources at Zapier about webhooks. If you're not that familiar, you can go to zapier.com and search for webhooks, and that'll bring you some resources about webhooks and how to get started with them. And also, just while we're letting Nate get back into things, be sure to check out our site, zapier.com/apps. As Katie mentioned, we have over 2,000 apps that we connect with. And we also have some role-specific Zap templates that might be useful for you. So check out zapier.com/roles to find some Zap templates related to your job role and to see how others in your job use Zapier to help them work more effectively. So we were actually just talking about webhooks and how webhooks have helped you at Iterable. Why did you choose webhooks?
So webhooks are instant. Webhooks are instant when they're triggered, and a lot of metadata comes with that webhook. And then based on that metadata, I mean, you're like, the possibilities are pretty endless on what you can do with that, and then also like what products you can tie together. A lot of the tools, a lot of the tools that we have support alerting or notifications by webhooks, and so that's just our preference.
Cool. That sounds great. So tell us a little bit more about just like your Zapier use at Iterable. What other pain points has your team faced when using different technologies, and just overall, like what impact has Zapier had on your processes at Iterable?
So anything that has like manual data entry or, like updating values in a spreadsheet, if we can handle that with Zapier, we're going to. We humans are very prone to error, and then also data entry is no one's favorite task. So if Zapier is able to handle that for us, we're definitely a listed use for that. But then also, like back on what I said, was just kind of alerting and notifications. I hate email. It's not my favorite. I get stressed looking at my inbox. I get more stressed looking at other people's inboxes, and that's a lot of like products ways of like notifying you, hey, there's something going wrong. Maybe some connector isn't working, a service is down, APIs aren't aren't responding how they should. So we wanted to get out of email, and so we have many Slack channels, and we have Slack channels that are dedicated to like certain tools or to like certain like services that we're monitoring. It's much more digestible for us to be able to for us to receive oh, hi. For us to receive those alerts and notifications into the dedicated Slack channels that we have seen. We found that our team is more responsive there, and things don't get lost in the weeds.
Makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. So it would be fair to say like it's helped you reduce some of that like email fatigue and create transparency across the org and the different teams. Cool. So I know that you at Iterable is on a company's plan with Zapier. What motivated your organization to sign up for the company's plan?
So the main initiative, or the thing that reached out to us, was the ability to have single sign-on. So we have a large initiative at Iterable to go passwordless authentication into not only our computers, but the various services and applications that we use. Humans are bad at passwords. They're bad at remembering passwords, bad at creating strong ones. And so just having the ability to have, SAM login through our IDP, which was Okta, was huge. Other than that, we wanted the ability to have easy user provisioning and deprovisioning within the app should other teams want to use it, and wanted the ability to have a permission set on our like various Zap folder structure. I remember like back in earlier Zapier times, we had labels. We had like labels on our folder, like IT ops, do not touch. Oh, that's not really needed. Like, certainly there's a better way to handle this and make sure that no one's meddling with the Zaps that we've created.
For sure, yeah, those are definitely two of the more popular features of the Zapier company's plan. So last question for me, and then we can turn it over, but have you built any Zaps for fun at Iterable?
So yeah, I can't take 100% credit for this one. I definitely had the idea and help facilitate it. But sorry, one moment.
They just really want to make sure that everyone in that building is safe. So kudos to the fire safety folks in Nate's building.
All right. So the cool Zap that we have that's not necessarily used for work. We have a collaborative Spotify playlist amongst our IT team. And so we have a IT music Slack channel. And so if you post a song, like the title and artist that you like, or if you post a direct link to the Spotify link itself of the song, upon adding the Spotify emoji to this link, it goes and auto adds that song to our collaborative playlist.
So you have a Slack Zap DJ going for you right there. So that's a really cool one. I think we're gonna have to create that kind of Zap for our team here at Zapier. Awesome. Well, Nate, thanks so much for sharing. And we just have a few more slides left, and so we can just jump right back into those. All right. So again, thanks, Nate, for your time there. I just wanted to touch upon the features of the company's plan and a little bit more about how you could be more productive together, like Iterable is. So first of all, Zapier for Companies gives you more control over how your team uses Zapier. We know how much your business relies on Zapier to connect its softwares, and we're committed to meeting the highest security standards. So Zapier for Companies allows you to have more advanced admin controls so you can help your team work more securely and more efficiently. Like Nate mentioned, it lets you control a little bit more about who has access to different apps and different folders and different Zaps. And some of the favorite features that our customers have talked about is single sign-on with SAML. It allows you to protect your company by linking Zapier to any SAML 2.0 identity and access management provider, as well as user provisioning. So you can easily onboard and offboard team members through your IDP. Another customer favorite is access to Premier Support Team and also the customer success team that I'm a part of. We're all here to help, and our Premier Support Team is on hand to answer questions fast. So as a company's customer, you have access to a dedicated support team and a dedicated customer success manager to help your team onboard with Zapier through additional training material. And also, our team is here to help you strategize the long-term use of Zapier at your organization. Next slide, please. And just to do a quick recap of what we talked about today with Nate before we get into the questions, Iterable needed to find a way to automate tedious tasks with their organization. So they decided to use Zapier to create custom workflows and build a more scalable ticketing system, which reduced employee time and streamlined their communication channels. By automating their efforts, they were able to scale these processes and create more visibility across the entire organization. And as Nate said, they look for places and processes where they have a lot of repeatable manual tasks that are prone to human error, and they try to figure out how to automate those tasks. This is a great way to save time and effort for your team and employees. So with that, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll jump over to the live Q&A, and I'll turn it back to you, Katie.
Awesome. Thank you both. That was great. And sorry that you had to have that fire alarm go off. So we have a few questions here from everyone, and please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box. And I just want to let you know we will be sending out a recording afterwards, and once you leave the webinar, you'll be asked to create a survey, fill out a survey, and we'd love your feedback from that. So this first question is for Nate. So Nate, how do you determine which team at your company actually needs to automate their process or create a new workflow because it's taking too much time? Do people come to you, or how does that work?
So I interface with a lot of our other departments, and so I have the luxury to be able to observe kind of what they're doing. So that's just how it's been. But there have been other teams that have previously used the tool and just wanted the ability to use that here at Iterable.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So I think this is a good, okay, I can answer this. Is there a document that lists all of the Zaps Zapier works with? Yes, there is. We actually have on zapier.com/apps. You can go see all of the different 2,000 plus apps that you might be using every day. And you can, Lori actually just pasted it in the Q&A box, so you can check that out. Okay, so this might be for Lori or for you, Hum. We recently had a few people who set up our Zaps leave. Is there a way we could use the company plan features to bring those under one umbrella?
Yeah, Lori, I can take that one. Yes, so under the Zapier companies plan, if a member of your team leaves, those Zaps actually, the ownership transfers over to the account owner. And so that's an easy, seamless way for the Zaps to kind of migrate ownership over.
Great. I love this one. Someone said, news app. If dog barks on Zoom, then my dog barks and goes outside to look for a dog. Oh, I love it. Funny. Okay. If I have an app that is not currently listed in the Zapier list of apps, who or how can that app get set up with Zapier? Or Lori, do either of you know the answer to that?
Take this one. So the honest answer is that you're much more likely to have the app themselves build the app integration on Zapier than for us to do it. So honestly, my best advice is to reach out to whatever app it is. I know someone asked in the Q&A about WhatsApp. Reach out to them and be like, hey, we really want to see you on Zapier, and let them build the app. It is free to do that. Anyone can build an app on Zapier, and it will be, there's a process to actually make it available to everybody. But at no time does any of the developers have to pay us anything to be able to do that. If the app itself has an API, there's still workarounds of things that you can do to try to, connect your app, whether that's webhooks or like email parser or the RSS feed. There's a bunch of alternatives. So I'm actually going to post into the chat a link to a blog post of how to take advantage of some of those opportunities to still be able to connect your app, even if it doesn't have a Zapier integration.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, Nate, how did you figure out your own use case? I'm having trouble figuring out how to know what I can do with Zapier.
So I guess, is this mainly for like the ticket creation or just in general?
I think it's in general.
I like I said, just as a client platform engineer, a big part of my job is just determining what can we automate. And so, like I said, if it's tedious and repeatable, or if it's going to save us time, then we brainstorm. We brainstorm. So our team, we have a pretty large like breadth of knowledge of APIs and kind of linking products together. And so just so a lot of it goes into the research of like what's available from the APIs, what actions can we do.
Awesome. Okay.
Katie, just to expand on that one a little bit more too, something that I like to ask people a lot too is like, think about your workday and what's one of the things that you dread hating that you have to do every day? And is there a way to automate that? So in some cases, it's like, that's going through my email all the time. What can you do to automate that different ways? So that's one of the questions I like to ask.
Great. That's great. Okay. Are there video walkthroughs for using webhooks with Zapier? The answer is yes. We actually have a place where you can actually get started with webhooks if you haven't used them before, if you're just interested. And Lori has just pasted it into the chat. So you can check that out. It looks like we have a time for a few more questions. Okay, Nate, this is for you. You may know or you may not. What's the longest step Zap you've built for Iterable? Does it include paths?
Oh gosh. So yeah. At a previous company, longest steps, maybe I want to say maybe 10, and I think it had the maximum of amount of paths, which was 3, or at least it was three at the time. And I was using this at a previous company to help facilitate our offboarding workflow and meeting conditions of different employee types to determine what automated offboarding actions I wanted to take from there.
Okay, awesome. Okay, this person says, where can I learn more about the basics of Zapier? You can actually learn more. We have how-to videos on our YouTube channel, and we also have a place where you can learn key concepts in Zapier. And it looks like Lori just posted the most commonly asked questions, so you guys can check out that link. And that is it for questions. Please look out for an email with the follow-up, and we'll be sending out this recording so you can take a look at it and send it to your colleagues or share it. I want to thank you, Hum and Nate, so much for coming on to this presentation despite some glitches. We're all good. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know you're busy, so we appreciate it.